We acknowledge that Tri-Cities Community Television operates on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Kwikwetlem First Nation. We thank the Kwikwetlem who continue to live on these lands and care for them along with the waters and all that is above and below.
Welcome to the Face to Face. I'm your host, Geneviève Kyle-Lefebvre. Face to Face is a bilingual series of video recorded here in Kwikwetlem. Today, we are welcoming Chief Ed Hall, First Executive Director of the Tri-Cities Friendship Center Society. So, welcome, Chief Hall.
Thank you very much. Hajka, Geneviève.
Geneviève, I know you were asking me, do I say Geneviève? Do I say Geneviève, right?
Yes.
Well, I have a question because before we get in, I remember just before we started, I asked you, how do I address you? Your former chief, your chief, I hear once a chief, always a chief. How's that work?
Well, I sometimes, depending on who's in the audience, I got to make sure that I clear it for the record there that I'm not the acting chief, or I'm not one that's making decisions on behalf of the people that I'm registered with into Kwikwetlem. I just have to say that I've also heard too, since I left office of chief, that once a chief, always a chief, and same as those other people that are in presidents, prime ministers, and all that. You know, they all carry these titles afterwards, and that's what I've been going by. But I just make sure that, depending if I know who's there, I let them know so that no messages gets back to the one who is the sitting chief, elected in, and then nobody gets upset. There's no nobody's toes being stepped on.
Yes, I understand. Now we're going to talk about the Friendship Center. Why have you guys decided to open a Friendship Center, and what is it?
Okay, why? Well, it's for me to kind of see a 15-year-old dream coming true.
Wow.
So by being identified as a founding member, that's what I hear is, the one who had the idea, but I'm a co-founder of it. And
who's the other co-founder?
And the other co-founder is Vanessa Wadesky. And what I do with this is I try to get things set up, surround myself with all the right people, establish the board and everything. I get to be the first executive director. I was going to be a co-executive director, but we had somebody who had to change directions after they were there for a little bit and went on to work with a different place where they were going to have a regular income coming in, because everything I do is voluntary right now. And it is a total honor to make this dream come true, to be that first executive director and be, like a founding member of it. And what it's all about, in my role as a chief, I was starting to establish relations, and reconciliation was coming into the mainstream with everybody's view of things. And what I liked about it is that I could still do something like that, and bridge relations with people that are from different societies. Like the Tri-Cities alone has, from what I'm hearing, over 5,000 Indigenous identified people, and
5,000.
Over 5,000.
Over 5,000.
Yeah,
okay.
Over 5,000, and the school district 43 of the Tri-Cities has just about 1,300 students. So you think of all of those students, and they go home. There's the families. Well, we don't know that they're all there, but I know there's probably people that probably wish they could come into the area. It just depends on the housing availability and affordabilities and that kind of thing, rentals and everything. There's people and these people that are over 5,000 count, they're from all over the country, a lot from the province. A lot of them moved out to Vancouver and that, and then things started getting expensive there, so they kind of migrated outward to more of the suburban areas. And if we call Tri-Cities a suburb, I don't know if you do or not, but that's but it is something where once upon a time homes were much easier to find and whatnot. And I think when people do find them that aren't in the market for buying them, they get there, they keep it. And so there's probably other people that will eventually get here when it starts growing a little more. And to be able to have a friendship center, there's only 3 in all of the greater Vancouver and outskirts in this whole lower mainland, there was 25 throughout the province. But East Vancouver has one, Surrey has one, and my hometown of Mission City has one. And I've wanted this for 15 years. To be able to have that, so what I can do there is a place would actually have, a nice meeting space where you can have activities, people can share stories and whatnot, probably bring their culture in there. It would have a kitchen, and then we'd be able to have at certain times of the year when there's different kinds of meal observations and whatnot, special events. Maybe somebody's going to have a special milestone birthday or something that might be a member of it, or related to somebody that's working there, board members, family, or something. This is what that would do. It would address building relations and trying to get people together, and also to be able to have a place where they can seek out where there might be resources and whatnot, or knowledge of that, because maybe they're new to the city or the Tri-Cities. So that's where I see that going, and I'm hopeful that by the year's end or in the start of the new year, after this launch, we'll be able to have a grand opening.
Okay, so it's coming up.
Yeah.
And so the grand opening is maybe, do you have a date, a maybe date?
No, there's no set date for
Okay.
it.
You have to let us know, we need to be there.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so do you have a location yet?
I have a couple of offers out towards Port Moody,
Okay,
and being almost an original Kwikwetlem resident, Port Moody I do hold dear to my heart. It's one of my favorite little areas in the lower mainland. The way it's laid out there with the waters and the forests, the mountains and everything. And so there's a couple of offers there already. In meetings for different things, different reasons, through another foundation that I'm a part of on its board chair in Low Entropy there, we've sat down with the mayor, and he said there really wasn't much land to build anything on. So it takes me back to a time when in my leadership there, after I got elected chief, within the first year, I was talking to big developers, and I thought maybe with their projects, and reconciliation in action, or reconciliation, that maybe we could build in to the project an interpretation center for the local First Nations, and especially the host nation, and that way, we could do things, together that way, and get some more awareness of, that there is people's, the original descendants of a long lineage that goes back hundreds of generations. So it is definitely something that we will, make happen. Might not necessarily be in Kwikwetlem, although that would be ideal because it's right in the middle of all of that too. But then you have different areas of Kwikwetlem that are really busy with our commercial spaces and whatnot, and then lots of residential, lots of high rises and things. So Port Moody seems to be the place that's bound to end up for at least for its first while, and they would definitely welcome, a grand opening over there. I know they would. Mm-hmm. They are really true to working with First Nations. I have worked really well with Port Moody even before I got elected as chief, and the previous mayor, he was in, and then he was on his way out, the elections cycles, and we were going to work on the projects together about naming areas, like including, coming up with a name for the Indian Arm and whatnot, but that takes multiple, probably Hunkaminam dialect speaking nations to mutually agree on naming a place like that, body of water. But the current mayor, she has changed history there in 115 years, and I was happy to be a part of her inauguration with her and her new council, a couple of ones that got re-elected, and they work really, really well with the local nations on across the waters there at Tsleil-Waututh, Burrard Inlet there, and then across with Musqueam and Catesy and Kwikwetlem, and so there's a good relation there to make things happen.
Excellent. So now tell me, what is that looking like? If you've seen it in other cities, now you guys are bringing this now to the Tri-Cities. So it's an area youth are coming in, elderly are coming in? Tell me, what is that looking like when someone's going to enter those doors?
Well, it'll be a space where somebody can feel safe, and it'll be decolonized, so it'll have a nice indigenous feel to it, a vibe. There will be things there probably right upon its entrance and whatnot, like there is at other locations, and yeah, it'll definitely have some friendly, welcoming people there, and we wouldn't be able to see it go with anything less. And yeah, depending on the day or the evening, usually I think they mostly operate during the weekend or the weekdays, and then it would be, depending on if it's June 21st, National Indigenous Peoples Day or something, it might have a closure there, but there might be a showing, showcasing something down at a local park, but the space itself would be very welcoming. Warm and have a nice Salish kind of a vibe, and hopefully a nice kitchen where somebody can put together those different kinds of dishes that really entices people to try something else out that they might not normally ever come across. That'll be certain kinds of occasions or observations or something like that. It's not something that would be ongoing every day, but maybe there could be programming done out of it too that would be able to help, people that might not necessarily always have, food in the cupboard or something, maybe a day or two a week or something that could work like that. I don't know what that looks like. The foundation itself would actually have to pursue grants and everything and donations and whatnot to really make it operate fully and to really, get into the public's eye on, what it's really about.
Mm-hmm. So from today until its opening, what are the steps? What's ahead of you right now?
Ahead of me is raising funds, applying for grants. We got to be able to furnish a place. Luckily, back in my earlier years, I was working in the office furniture industry, and so I have connections there, and I'm sure a lot of other people do too. And so there's that, and then there's also all of these things where you got to get a lot of policies in place for different things, for the board and for for programs and whatnot, to have a treasurer and a lot of these different things there, and have really, really good people behind them, on those kinds of forms and the paperwork that we have to follow. So just to make it function properly and to be acceptable by the local municipality that hosts that business there.
Excellent. And who are the people that will be welcome to come and visit as a guest?
Probably everybody.
Everybody?
Yeah.
First Nation?
Yeah.
Not First Nation?
Yeah.
Everybody that wants to come and meet has a need of maybe fighting a bit of social anxiety or social isolation, or just wants to talk to someone, or just wants to come and say hi.
Yeah, exactly. If they want to bring along a drum, there might be a time
Yes.
where we're going to do some songs together,
that.
or maybe sit down on a table and play some card games or something, and just have a little bit of a social release, to just be there and just feel relaxed and at ease.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think the impact of the Friendship Center will have on the Tri-Cities?
Awareness.
I like that.
Yeah, and bridging gaps. Just really, that's probably the key things right there, and local First Nations and all others that are from different places too. There might be like all groups day kind of activities or something where people can come and meet and greet and do things together within there, or meet up for certain events and whatnot. It's the type of thing that we would see happening there.
Okay, you mentioned awareness.
Yeah.
So when you say awareness, you're probably thinking about there's something in there. Then you want to bring people to get to know a little bit about what's happening and to have some awareness for what?
Awareness of local First Nations. Like I've heard so many times over the years that people didn't even know there was a Kwikwetlem First Nation in the area, and it has 2 parcels. and the river of the Kwikwetlem River divides where the parcels are laid out in districts, Kwikwetlem and Port Kwikwetlem. But the traditional territory, it'll go over to as far as Pitt River, right up into the top of the Kwikwetlem watershed. It'll go over into shared territory, into the reaches of Burnaby, down into New Westminster, and just on the other side of the Fraser River into Surrey. It's all traditional territory, and so a lot of people have said that they didn't know. I don't know how many people comes into a new city or whatever. They're going to be the new residents, and they go looking for the First Nation. Like the people that just come in, and they might be just set. They just have this one focus, and they're just going to be there. Their family, they're going to do this thing, have their career, whatever. But just come into an area, you got to be broad-minded, have an open heart and an open mind to get into these new areas. And that's one thing I've learned too about when people travel. It's best to go check out the the local cultures and that. And you can really learn about a place by doing that. And that would be an instrumental thing to have a friendship center, because it'll bring awareness to all of that. And like I mentioned earlier in the conversation too about working with big developers too, you might be able to work in something where you have an interpretation center, and people can go in there, they can push buttons and hear the language, or hear what translations are for that and other things that are on display, kind of like a gallery or a museum.
Now we talked about awareness. You also mentioned the gap, bridging the gap. So what's that mean for you?
Well, what that means for me is the late former Premier John Horgan brought in on DRIP, and they called it DRIPA. It's an act now in BC government, so it's law, and it's really bringing all of these things into action. 94 calls to action, so it helps to highlight some of those, and I know some of the local cities are already doing it. Some are more proactive and ahead of others, and that too. It just depends on staffing and what the biggest concerns are locally around their municipalities. But it'll help in addressing some of that, bridging these gaps. Reconciliation will it will actually help getting more people together, getting better understandings of one another, and just to really build relations. That's what that does, and make a really nice society around the Tri-Cities, and hopefully we can get rid of a lot of the stigma that that follows different things that have been going on for a long time. And it's, for me, being in years of leadership is all about building relations and maintaining them even long after the fact. Mm-hmm. Some of the local politicians, that have been around the scene for quite a few years, I've been friends and associated with them for 20 years or more. Mm-hmm. And not too many people, can say that, that are elected in and out, especially of a local First Nation and whatnot too, because that's the time when I came in, was at the time when the provincial government was really starting to make some good powerful strides in doing a good thing, and for all people of the province. And it's definitely making some good headway along along these days, weeks and months and years of working with those documents and those laws to be able to make things better for everybody. And so that's, to me, that's bridging the gaps, especially when cities, they'll hire somebody that's an Indigenous relations manager. Well, the person might not have like a lifetime of that knowledge like I do or somebody else does, and so just having that presence there says a lot. A presence really says a lot. It helps. It helps bring everything to light. The awareness is there. Culture starts to shine a little bit more once it's become aware of, and that's all we can ask for from that, and just keep it going in perpetuity, and it'll be a good thing that'll be good for everybody.
I don't want to compare the French with the First Nation, but there's sometimes, as a French Canadian person myself, I find some similarities. When the French Canadian came here in 1909 and arrived in Millardville, they had their own fight, right? And they had to fight for their inequalities. They had to fight to actually bring people around them to actually be equal even in their salaries. There was ranks and different things, and I'm sure, like with First Nation, there's a lot of stories like this. I think we know that, right?
Yeah.
And we often collaborate with different Festival du Bois with the Métis.
Yes.
And I'm just curious, is the Métis part? Do you guys are in contact, or how's that work?
I have a few Métis associates, and yeah, that's definitely something that we would welcome to come to a friendship center and whatnot too, and they could all share culture and whatnot too. I have French ancestry too. It goes back to even my great grandfather, who sailed for the Hudson's Bay Company back in the 1850s, and yeah, and then going to my paternal grandfather's side too. He was adopted in by the Stala peoples out in the Chilliwack region of the Lower Fraser Valley, and so with my own French background, both of my parents had French or part French fathers. So there's a long line of that, and then hundreds of generations of the Indigenous lineage. So yeah, so I see these kinds of things, these matters from a couple of different angles.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do I have to switch and start speaking French to you, or should we stick to English?
Well, the reason why I started to learn Hunkaminam is because I thought all the other languages are boring. But I'm not fluent in Hunkaminam. But I've been speaking English all my life, and I only remember French that was taught between the grades 3 through 9, and that's back in the 1970s. So.
Okay, we'll stick to English.
I remember a little bit, but I wouldn't be fluent.
Yeah,
with it.
no.
Yes.
Okay, so to go back to the Friendship Center. So if someone's listening to this video today, this interview, and they want to help, how can they reach you, Vanessa, or the organization? At this point, maybe someone wants to donate. Maybe tell us a little bit how we can reach out, and what kind of position do you need, or as a volunteer, or maybe for the organization?
Yeah, as time goes by, I was at an event in Port Moody just before I came to here for the interview, and I was talking with a lady there, and she works out of the Pacific Salmon Foundation now, but she has offered to help in any way that she can. She's really just ecstatic to hear that this is coming to the Tri-Cities, and I've been hearing feedbacks that are like that, since the launch happened last month, and. Yeah, so we, people can sign up on the website. My contact number is on the website, just so that you know, public. It's on the website. I changed it because I am now the website editor. So that's another hat that I have to wear.
Yes, I actually wanted to know about the hat. Talk to us a little bit about the significance of all these. I'm sure every single one of these little things has a meaning.
Yes. With all of the things that I've attached to my hat, that I think it probably maybe offends a couple of elders lightly, because I shouldn't be sticking all these things inside my cultural hat there, but I don't wear it with regalia or anything, and I really don't go to cultural ceremonies very often. So I thought, well, the two former colleagues that I got elected in with, that when we all got a hat and a box to put it in, I hardly ever see them wear theirs. I don't know why they even own a hat. So I wore mine out in the public and that, and then I thought, well, I'm going to put some messages on there. And I do have some different messages, and a lot of them are, due to, reconciliation and in honor of the Orange Shirt, September 30th, and the children didn't come home. Paddling, as I am a canoe skipper, and these memorial ribbons. Got the Kwikwetlem band logo on there. I just received this one today from a hatchery in Port Moody, and so it's all about fish and unlearning racism. I got that from Douglas College. And I got this one from the Burnaby stream lake naturalists. So I have different messagings on there, and then this, I just have a funny memory one time because walking through Poco there, and there's this couple just slightly behind me, and she didn't see the wire, and this thing was floating a little bit, and as I was walking, so it was kind of back, she tried to reach for it, and it was bobbing around, and she missed it, and then she started laughing, and her boyfriend, her husband, was laughing at her.
She was trying to save you?
She was trying to grab the feather. She thought it was falling out of the tree that we were all walking underneath. I wasn't with them, but I was just walking ahead of them. So I've got different messages on there, and it's special, and it keeps the hat, busy, and the adornment on top there was passed over to me from a younger person in another First Nation there that had put it together. So he gave it to me in honor of getting elected as chief, and I put it in the hat. And since the hot feathers was gifted by another person, and I was out at a gallery out in Hope there, just at the beginning of the weekend there that just went by, and went into see a lady there, and I got something to work with the spinners that I have on there. It's funny, sometimes I can be recognized without my hat, and other times I can be recognized with it. So
it's part of you.
Yes, one way or the other. It's me. So
excellent.
Yeah.
So what's the hope for the Friendship Center? We talked about everything, but what do we want to accomplish in the Tri-Cities throughout the years?
Oh, just to keep it going, and hopefully grow it to something that that's really, really meaningful to everyone, and to just going back to just being aware, and and everybody just sharing culture, and and having its presence. That's what it's really going to be all about, just its presence, and just becoming a part of everything that's around, and everything becoming a part of it.
Excellent. Well, Chief Head Hall, thank you so much for joining us today. It was a pleasure to learn about the new center, your team, the hat, what you do. And it's true, everything, the solution to a lot of things is in education. And more we talk about it, more we educate yourself, more we understand, and more we're together. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. From the Tri-Cities Community Television and myself, Geneviève Kyle-Lefebvre, thank you so much for watching today.